Hey everybody, John here. Welcome back to Catbird Hill. So it is an amazingly beautiful day here in southeastern Pennsylvania. We've got about 70, 72 degrees. There's no humidity. There's a little light breeze, not a cloud in the sky. This is the weather I've been waiting for about 3 months. And the good news is we've got at least another week, 10 days of this weather ahead of us, which I am just so grateful for. Because now we're getting into that time of the year where I'm thinking about producing more firewood. So that means chainsaw work, wearing chaps and protective gear, which tends to be kind of hot. And then also a lot of splitting, both hand splitting and working with a splitter, a lot of stacking. So, vigorous activity, and I love this cooler weather to do that. So I rarely ever make any guarantees in life in general. But I am going to guarantee you one thing right now. Stay tuned. One thing I will guarantee you is you will never ever see this chainsaw this clean ever again. I can guarantee that, and I'll back my guarantee. This is a brand new saw. This is the Husqvarna 562 XP. The Mark II version. This is the latest version of this saw. And I've had this saw for a while now. I've had this for probably 6 months, give or take. And, I've just been kind of waiting for really good weather to give it a good run. And I have a perfect opportunity to do that. The logs you see here, these 3 firewood logs, or poles if you want to call them that, are from the huge dead ash tree that I had to clean up after it fell down about a month and a half, 2 months ago. I'll put that video up top so you can see it, what that tree actually looked like when it was down. But these, as you'll recall from that video, this was a standing dead tree, and you can see the drying already that has occurred even since I just sectioned these logs up, like I said, maybe a month or month and a half ago. So you can see, the ends are really splitting up well there. I saved 3 really big logs for saw logs, but these are that perfect diameter for splitting, in that, maybe 10 to 14 inch range. Probably about, I don't know, 12 to 14 feet long on this one, maybe 10 to 12 on that, maybe about 6 or 7 feet on that one there. So I want to dive into blocking these off into rounds, which will then later split. And I want to showcase these 562 XP. It'll be the first time I have cut with it. Brand new Sumora light bar with an Oregon EXL chain. And I want to talk a little bit about why I'm interested in this saw a lot. So what I'm thinking about, I'm trying to think ahead here, and probably in the next couple of years, as I get closer to retiring from my career, I'm going to be spending more time on the property, more time dealing with this kind of stuff. So more cutting, more splitting, etc. I'm moving more and more in the direction of a saw that is lighter in weight, cuts really fast, really well, has the power, can pull a long bar. This is a 24-inch bar here that we'll be using today. And so I always sort of defaulted to the bigger saws, like in the class of a 395, an 066 in the Stihl version, the Stihl brand, or a 660, 661, later models. But what I'm finding is that these newer saws, both Husky and Stihl, in that 60-ish cc range, are really a lot better than what I remember them being 30, 40 years ago. So This saw came out, I believe, maybe a year and a half ago. This is the second version of the 562. They made some improvements on it. I know that the original 562 had a history of issues, particularly with failure in the oiler mechanism. I think they've improved that. I love the ergonomics of the Husky saws. I actually prefer the ergonomics of a Husky over a Stihl in general. And so that's one of the reasons that I'm probably going to be, hopefully, if I'm happy with this, and I think I will be, I'm going to probably be moving to this being sort of part of a 3 or 4 saw program. You know, having a limbing saw, maybe a saw in the 45 to 50 cc range, something in this range here, and then probably, you know, retaining a larger saw in that, you know, 90 to 100 cc range for really big cutting, which will be rare, but I do want to have that. And then I'll have some of the larger saws for milling, for chainsaw milling on saw logs that I can't get up onto the Woodland Mills sawmill. So I definitely want to retain at least one really big saw, like a 3120 or an 088, 880, 881, somewhere in that range. So let's fire this up and we'll talk about it. You know, take this for what it's worth. It's the first cuts of a brand new saw. I have heat cycled it for 5 minutes. I know somebody's probably going to say you don't need to do that anymore. I don't care. That's what I do. That's the way I warm up or break in any brand new saw. I let it heat cycle for about 5 minutes. And so that's been done. But other than that, it's going to be the first time it sees wood. Let's see what happens. nice and solid. That one tried to get away. All right, so wow, that was made quick work of that. So we've got a lot of nice, really beautiful firewood rounds here. You know, probably 14 inches across. Nice ash. Everybody loves ash, or at least everybody loves it around here in terms of firewood production, because it dries very fast. Most of the ash that I cut and split last November from a different tree, a lot of it had been stacked there in the first pile I did end of last year. That's already been sold. When I sold it, it was moisture content was down around 13 or 14%. So, you know, in less than a year, it was fully dried, ready to burn. So that's what I love about ash, and heaven knows we've got plenty of it here on Catbird Hill. Oh, that was fun. You know, you got to take these things for what it's worth. It's a brand new saw, you know, from a top manufacturer. You expect it to run well, and it ran really well. That's not really what I was interested in finding out today. I was interested in getting some sense of the ergonomics of it, particularly with the 24-inch bar, which is probably the bar that I'm just going to keep on there. I love the light bars, whether they're Husqvarna, Sumora, You know, whatever the brand is, I'd like a light bar. Again, just from the ergonomic standpoint, reduction of fatigue, all that stuff. You know, it definitely ran really well. I love the ergonomics of it. It felt really easy to manipulate as I was moving around. It, you know, it doesn't have any like heavy tipping point to it. I feel like it's very, very well balanced. Of course, Husqvarna has always been known for their anti-vibration technology. I'm a firm believer in that. I think their saws run real smooth. So for a first run with a brand new saw in some, you know, reasonably sized hardwood, I think it performed beautifully. It's definitely a keeper. So I think it's going to definitely be part of that armory that I'm going to try to whittle down to maybe 4 or 5 saws that will be my functional operational saws. You probably know from previous videos, and I've got quite a chainsaw collection. I've got a lot of vintage saws, which I'm probably going to hold on to just for the collectible value, and it's fun to run them every now and then. But you know, I could cut all day long with this. I think this is a perfect saw for me for this particular class, this 60cc-ish range. You might be laughing because here I am talking about a Husqvarna saw, which, by the way, I purchased with my own money. I didn't get any perks or gifts or anything from Husqvarna. This is, you know, my saw bought with my money. But you're probably laughing because I'm using Stihl gloves and an Oregon helmet. And I'll tell you why I've got the Oregon helmet. For a while I was using a Stihl helmet, but I've got a complaint with Stihl. Their chainsaws are great. A lot of their their power equipment is real good. I love some of their battery stuff. I have the hand pruner. The GTA 26, I love that. But boy, they really put out poor products when it comes to things like helmets and gloves. So the reason I have an Oregon helmet is that my Stihl helmet broke. The part that broke was the part that actually attaches the ear muffs to the side of the helmet. Both sides, the tabs just snapped off, so basically that's unusable at this point other than just a plain old helmet. And then here we go. I'm sure I know others of you have had this problem. Here's a pair of Stihl gloves that are less than a year old. And what do? Fingers always blow out. Not cheap gloves either. I can't figure out how a company that charges an arm and a leg for their power equipment, particularly their chainsaws, can do such, and produces really good quality saws, can market such absolutely low-end, peripheral equipment or collateral equipment. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I know they don't make it. I know that somebody else makes it for them and it's rebranded, but Stihl, please do a better job with stuff like this. Your brand deserves better than that. So anyhow, that's how I ended up with an Oregon helmet. I have a feeling it's going to last better. The construction is definitely better than the Stihl helmet. Thanks so much for watching and for going along on this little test run of the Husqvarna 562 XP Mark II. It's definitely going to be in the chainsaw armory here on Catbird Hill. Until next time, John here from Catbird Hill. Take care.